Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10. Good afternoon. Can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to sign up for the intermediate course in Arabic, please.
Of course. There are 3 courses. One runs during the day. That's an intensive course that runs for 4 weeks. Then there is the weekend course, which runs for 8 weeks. Finally, the evening course runs for 12 weeks.
I'd like to join the intensive course, please. My company is posting me to Syria in 6 weeks, and I need to improve on my basic conversational Arabic before then.
I see. Have you taken a course here before?
Yes, I have. I took the Arabic refresher course during the summer. I really enjoyed it.
Do you have your registration card for that course? If so, it will speed up registration, and we can give you a 5% discount too.
I think I'd have it in my handbag. Yes, here it is. A little dog-eared, I'm afraid.
Thank you. Your name is David I'm sorry, the rest of your name is not clear.
Rivers. Rivers.
Ah, yes. OK, I have your details on the computer.
Actually, my address has changed since I took the previous course. My new address is 38 Temple Way.
Thank you. I'll just change that. Can I have your new postcode too, please?
Certainly. It's BM9 2EV. My new home telephone number is 698-4537. My mobile number is the same as before.
That's 0987 375 633.
That's right.
It's here that the teacher was very impressed with you.
Really? Ahmed was a great teacher. Is he still here?
I'm afraid not. He went back to Syria. Since you're going there, I'd love to give you his email address, but I'm afraid it's against company policy.
That's okay. I think I have his email address written on the back of the registration card. I have it on my laptop as well somewhere.
I'm sure he'd be glad to hear from an ex-student.
I'm banking on it. I wouldn't mind having a friend in Syria when I go there.
I'm sure he'll be glad to show you around. The course runs Monday to Friday from 10 to 12 and 1 to 3. 9 students have signed up so far. Is that okay?
No problem. And the cost?
£380 after your discount.
Thank you. Here's my credit card. Will the course be held in this building like last time?
Yes, it will, in classroom 4. The teacher this time is Mrs. Aziz.
Oh, I've met her. She seems well-spoken and friendly. I'm looking forward to her class already.
Oh, we've had very positive feedback from students about her classes. May I ask if you have a few minutes to answer a few questions? We're conducting a survey of our clients. It won't take long, I promise.
Oh, I'm not in a hurry. Go ahead.
The first question is about why you chose to study Arabic. I've got your answer to that one. How did you first hear at our school?
Well, I saw a newspaper advertisement. I think it was in the Standard, and then I mentioned it in conversation with a friend who had studied French here, and she said she was very happy with the course.
Oh, I see. What was your friend's name?
Mary Wright with a W.
Wright. Thank you. Do you think you would be interested in taking courses other than in Arabic?
I doubt it. I need to speak a little French and German in my line of work, but I speak those languages to an acceptable level. So further improvement is unnecessary. I've always been interested in learning an Oriental language, like Chinese, but I don't really need either, so...
What is important to you when selecting a school? Could you put these 5 items in order, please? 1 indicates the most important.
Teachers is top of my list for sure. Recommendations from others. Yes, that's next. Teaching materials. No. Location. Then admin staff. I think a good teacher can make use of even quite poor materials, so that would be the least important to me.
Any other important points that are not on the list?
A welcoming reception area. Group size, perhaps up to 12 students. That's a big attraction for me. It creates a better atmosphere, friendlier, more personal. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Here's a complimentary English-Arabic pocket dictionary with our thanks. That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You'll hear a presentation on the conference and meeting facilities. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 20.
Welcome to this short, and you have my word, it will be short, presentation on the conference and meeting facilities available at the Construction Education Centre. The Construction Education Centre is the established focal point for many major activities connected with building materials, construction, architecture and design, and even some activities outside those areas. For almost 70 years it has remained at the heart of the industry, and today plays host to many important events, receiving over 100,000 visitors, trainees and delegates throughout the year. The Construction Education Centre provides the perfect venue for a wide range of business, educational and social functions, including conferences, seminars, meetings, special events, product launches and press events, exhibitions, presentations, lectures and training classes. Our team of experienced personnel is on hand to ensure your event runs smoothly, and our aim is to remove the normal worries and concerns from function organisers so that events are both cost-effective and anxiety-free. Some of our recent clients include Design for Homes, the Association of Building Engineers, Learn Direct, the London Housing Federation, and even the College of Law. A full range of equipment is available for use, including a slide projector, which is available for half or whole days, video and monitor, 35mm carousel slide projector with infrared remote control and screen, flip charts and accessories, laser pointers and lecterns. Other audiovisual equipment can be provided, as well as access to broadband internet services. Details are provided on request. My business card is attached to the brochures you've been given. Allow me to provide you with a brief introduction to our range of rooms. On this slide you can see the main conference room. We call it the London Room. Spacious, isn't it? This room has the advantage of central movable panels, making it an ideal venue for seminars of up to 140 people or receptions for up to 200. The suite may also be used for presentations. The room may be divided into 3 separate rooms if required. This slide shows you the Bloomsbury room. It is also ideally suited for seminars and lectures. There is seating for 72 people, or it can be used as a reception area for up to 100. Next, we have 2 rooms that are very similar. Indeed, we have given them virtually identical names. We call them Holborn 1 and Holborn 2. They are both suitable for small meetings, training classes and presentations. Holborn 1 is slightly larger, capable of hosting 20 to 22 people, whilst Holborn 2 holds a maximum of 18 people. The Oxford Suite measures 12 by 6 metres and provides a more spacious and luxurious environment for executive meetings and presentations. As you can see, it is particularly elegant and well furnished. The Construction Education Centre also has an exhibition area, which is used by many clients when they hold a conference or meeting. This can be used as a way of informing delegates of your company, or as a visual launch pad for your company or its products and services. Recently we held an exhibition entitled Sustainable London from Friday 9th of March until Saturday the 28th of April. Here are a few slides showing that exhibition. The Sustainable London exhibition presented the challenge, the response and progress towards a sustainable 21st century city. The exhibition featured over 60 different schemes, from private houses to master plans, and showed how local government, architects and engineers are employing technology to reduce environmental impact and address climate change. Here we can see an example of a display of environmentally friendly technology by some of the leading brands in the field. I would also like to show you a few slides showing our educational activities. Here you can see our vocational students assessing construction plans. We currently have about 120 students here at the CEC, and we hope to increase that number to 150 over the next 2 years. We provide a wide range of essential training for the people who will hold key positions in the construction industry of tomorrow. In this slide, you can see students at work on designing an environmentally friendly home. Their designs are later reviewed by experienced professionals and have led to changes in the way that such homes are designed. Finally, I'd like you to draw your attention to this slide showing the location of the Construction Education Centre. As you can see, it is located in the heart of London's East End in Story Lane, off Court Street. Limited metered parking is available outside the CEC, but there is a car park nearby in Russell Street. The nearest underground stations are Court Road and Russell Square. The centre is also within walking distance from Queen's Cross train station.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. Section 3. You will hear a conversation. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 30. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 30.
So, do you think taking a gap year between leaving school and beginning uni is worth it? I was just reading that it is estimated that at least 50,000 young people here in Britain take one each year.
I think it's a good idea for some, but not for most.
Oh, David, I disagree.
Well, Kelly, in the clamour to arrange a volunteer scheme placement or to book round-the-world plane tickets, how many school leavers, or their parents for that matter, stop to think about the true worth of taking a year out? Are gap years the life-changing, character-forming experience their prominents claim them to be? Or are they merely an excuse to waste time, burn money and delay the inevitable? How did the idea ever start, anyway?
It says here that originally they were common mainly among Oxford and Cambridge applicants who were required to apply for a university place after already taking their A-levels. Once accepted, this gave them a further 9 months to travel or to do as they wished.
They're mostly a UK and Australian phenomenon. In the US, the tendency is still to go to college straight after leaving school. In most other European countries, gap years are rare, partly because students will often take longer to complete their university courses and have more time during the academic year to take time off.
Well, David says they might not be worth it. So is there any way we can measure the cost?
Well, the first thing to do is to assume that you will use the time available to travel abroad for a length of time, working for a period beforehand to save up the money necessary. Let's see. Roughly speaking, you will probably need about £500 for the plane ticket, depending on where you go. Then you'll need up to £200 for the specialist travel insurance, and anything up to £5,000 to pay for the cost of internal travel in countries you visit, plus food, accommodation and other sundries. Many gap year travellers can make do with about £3,000 in total, although this means living on a fairly tight budget.
But then you need to add the above cost for the foregone benefit of 1 year's salary after graduation. For example, say your first job after leaving university were to pay £15,000 to £20,000 a year. That's what you lose by taking a gap year.
Well, that's not entirely fair. You can measure value through personal development as well as financially. A gap year tends to broaden young people's horizons, helps them to mature and see things from a much wider perspective. It can motivate them to focus on their studies. Research shows that students are more likely to be satisfied with and complete their chosen course after taking a gap year. Many universities also say that they can tell the difference between those students who have taken gap years and those who have not, in terms of attitude, commitment, and general insights that are less evident in those who come straight from school. These are all benefits that a person will carry with him or her well past university. Many employers are on record as saying that they welcome job applications from students whose CVs say they took a year off, either before going to university or in some cases after graduating. They too are aware of the greater maturity and broader potential vision of those who have used their time constructively and learned something about the world.
That's true. Employers want graduates who can work well in teams, think independently, communicate effectively, and make informed decisions, all of which can be learned by taking a gap year. This potential to differentiate yourself from other applicants becomes all the more important at a time when up to 40% of young people are taking degrees, often graduating with good results. The key here is ensuring two things: that the time you have taken off is used constructively, and that you make it clear in any job application what you have learned from your gap year and how it applies to the post you are applying for. Swanning on a beach in Australia is hardly likely to impress the average employer.
There is no doubt that if you can show a practical approach, for example by volunteering with a charity, you will gain brownie points from many employers. But equally, any situation in which a young person has been required to learn new things, to act independently, to work for someone, to be able to mix with fellow travellers and people in the countries they're visiting, will be seen as a positive experience.
It says here that academic research carried out for the Department of Education suggests that employers recognise they stand to benefit from new recruits who, to quote one HR director, have been out of their comfort zones, and are thus more likely to have the flexibility and improvisation skills to deal with the demands of the graduate workplace.
Again, I think that the key thing is to make sure that your employer is steered into appreciating whatever experiences you have gained during that gap year. Clearly, telling a prospective boss that your 6 months on a beach in Oz was awesome will put you in a disadvantage compared with another applicant who goes into great details about the business skills learned by working in a cafe in the same location.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a lecture on prairie dogs. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Welcome to this presentation on prairie dogs. You can see a picture of these rather cute animals on this slide. As you can see, they are about the size of a rabbit, and they have a brown or clay-coloured coat with black-tipped hairs and a black-tipped tail. The underside of the prairie dog is a light tan colour. They have short legs and sharp claws to help them dig their homes. Their bodies are 12 to 15 inches long, with a 3 to 4 inch tail, and they weigh 2 to 4 pounds. I've been interested in these animals for a long time and would like to talk about a remarkable discovery. The barks of prairie dogs have distinct individual meanings. Prairie dogs have different words: tall human in yellow shirt, short human in green shirt, coyote, deer, red-tailed hawk, and many other creatures. They can even coin new terms for things they've never seen before, independently coming up with the same calls or words, according to research done over 2 decades by a professor from Arizona University, who can now not only call himself a biology professor, but also a prairie dog linguist. Prairie dogs of the Gunnison species, which were studied intensely, actually speak different dialects in Arizona and in Colorado, but they would probably understand one another, research indicates. So far, this is believed to be, or prairie dogs appear to be, demonstrating the most sophisticated communication system that anyone has shown in animals. Prairie dog chatter is variously described by observers as a series of yips, high-pitched barks, or eeks. And most scientists think prairie dogs simply make sounds that reflect their inner condition. That means all they're saying are things like ouch, or hungry, or eek. But we now know that prairie dogs are communicating detailed information to one another about what animals are showing up in their colonies, and maybe even gossiping. Linguists have set 5 criteria that must be met for something to qualify as a language. It must contain words with abstract meanings, possess syntax in which the order of words is part of their meaning, have the ability to coin new words, be composed of smaller elements, and use words separated in space and time from what they represent. The American researchers focused their efforts on these 5 criteria to see if prairie dogs use a language as defined by human linguists or not. Work was done in the field and in laboratory. With digital recorders, they recorded the calls prairie dogs make as they see different people, dogs, and other animals of different sizes and with different coat colours, such as hawks and elk. They then analysed the sounds using a computer that dissects the underlying structure and creates a sonogram or visual representation of the sound. Computer analysis later identifies the similarities and differences. The prairie dogs have calls for various predators, but also for elk, deer, antelope, and cows. It's as if they're trying to inform one another what's out there. So far, the researchers have recorded at least 20 different words. Some of those words or calls were created by the prairie dogs when they saw something for the first time. 4 prairie dogs in the lab were shown a great horned owl and European ferret, 2 animals they had almost certainly not seen before, if only because the owls are mostly nocturnal and this kind of ferret is foreign. The prairie dogs independently came up with the same new calls. In the field, black plywood cutouts showing the silhouette of a coyote, a skunk, and a circular shape were randomly run along a wire through the prairie dog colony. Now there were no black ovals running around out there, and yet they all had the same word for black circle. The researchers believe that prairie dogs are genetically programmed with some vocabulary and the ability to describe things. The researchers then played back a recorded prairie dog alarm call for coyote in a prairie dog colony when no coyote was around. The prairie dogs had the same escape response as they did when the predator was really there. In other words, there's no coyote present, but the prairie dogs hear this recording of prairie dogs barking, "Hey, there's a coyote," and they say, "Oh, coyote, better hide." Computer analysis has been able to break down some prairie dog calls into different components, suggesting the creatures have yet another element of real language. The researchers are quietly confident that they will establish that the prairie dogs will meet the 5 criteria set by linguists. Then there will be conclusive proof that animals have language. That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.